What up, guys? Still got our series going. Questionable TikToks number 9. Number 9. We don't know what we're gonna find, but that's what we're here for. You're here for the journey.
The scenes coming out of Myanmar right now are insane. Hundreds of people are feared dead after the country was hit with an earthquake so powerful that it was felt as far as Thailand and China. The building you're seeing collapse right now is all the way over in Bangkok. At about 2 p.m. local time, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake rocked central Myanmar, causing roads to buckle, bridges to crumble, buildings and houses to collapse. And this has got to be one of the most terrifying things ever. Some tourists were trapped on the top of a high-rise while the water from the rooftop pool poured over the side of the building due to the shaking. That water then fell onto and swept away the people trying to run away on the ground. Insane. The Red Cross said that electricity and network lines are down, which is making it hard to carry out humanitarian aid. People can be seen evacuating buildings and crouching on the tarmac at the airport, while rescue workers are already saying that the damage is enormous. Over in Bangkok, Thailand, 70 construction workers are now missing at the site of the building which collapsed. Reports say that around 320 workers were on the site at the time, and that around 20 of them are freaking trapped in the lift shafts. And to make this whole situation even more devastating, Myanmar has been ruled by a military junta since a coup in 2021. So not only does the state control almost all of the media and restrict access to the internet, making it a lot more difficult to get information about the full extent of this catastrophe, but there's also an already existing major humanitarian crisis in the country. 3.5 million people are displaced, 20 million people are in need of humanitarian aid, and that's before the earthquake. But of course, as this situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
I swear this guy had this TikTok account blocked like a couple days ago. He might have to be careful reporting on stuff like this though, especially on country of this nature. You just got your account back, calm down. Isn't it crazy that the first thought that pops onto people's mind is to record? There were people literally 10 meters, let me not say 10 meters, but I'll say 15, and it was showing signs of collapsing, and they were still there looking at the building. Run, get out of there.
Happy birthday to you. What you wish for?
Cut! That's a wrap! Woo!
How could you do this to me, Anna? You are my wife! How could you sleep with my brother? I just get back from war! We've been married for 20 years! We've got 2 kids, for God's sake! How could you do this to me?
Nah, bro, this is too much. The panning to the girl. I'm sorry for laughing if the guy was actually crying for his girl, if that was actually a true story part. Come on, man. Bro, why would you put that on the internet? That can't be real. It's an act, isn't it?
Just because I cheated one time, that make me a cheater? Yeah. So if I cut hair one time, that make me a barber? You ain't even thinking. Just because I cheated one time, that make me a cheater? Yeah.
Why is he making sense, bro? I've never seen a more accurate statement right here. Bro, this is nuts. What do you mean? What do you mean?
So this YouTuber is in big trouble. He allegedly tried to unalive a cop. Now the guy's name is Eric, and Eric's an influencer living in New York, and he's very popular on YouTube. Almost 3 million followers. And he does videos where he tours luxury homes, he does walkthroughs, and these aren't just pretty nice houses. Some of these are $500 million mansions. And so this is a really good gig for him, because over time his channel has been growing, and he's been getting really successful. Here he is with his YouTube play button after hitting 1 million subscribers. In fact, he's been getting so popular that on his channel he does a workout video with Chris Hemsworth. Pretty cool. Not to mention he's huge on TikTok, 1.3 million followers, and Instagram with almost 1 million followers. So clearly, bro found a decent niche for himself, and he's doing really well. Until one day, Eric screws it all up. Earlier this year, he puts out a video on YouTube, and in it, he announces that he's been sober from alcohol for several years.
1,444 days sober from alcohol today.
And you know, good for him for getting his life together. But then, just a few months later, he apparently falls off the wagon because he's driving his Jeep around town one day and police pull him over. And they find that old Eric is anything but sober. And one news source says he was drunk driving, another news source says he was driving while high on Zaza, so it's likely one of those two things. Regardless, he was allegedly operating a vehicle while intoxicated on something, and so bam, they arrest him. Now, this has nothing to do with him attacking a cop, this is just him falling off the wagon. We'll get to the thing about him attacking a cop. Anyway, so soon after this, he gets out of jail on bond. And he posts about his arrest like 1,000 times on his Twitter. I guess he's upset about it. He claims that police put the cuffs on him too tight. And you can actually see in this picture here he posted, he's got a bruise on his wrist there. And he says he's suing the police for violating his constitutional rights. Okay, bro. But then, a few days later, he screws up again. And this time it's much worse. Because he's driving around New Hampshire for some reason, and he's speeding. He's doing around 60 miles an hour in a 35. And suddenly, boom, he flies right by a police officer. And the cop's like, oh, hell no. And he pulls out behind Eric, and boo, he turns on his lights. And a bystander actually got this footage of the cop following him. So this is actual footage. Now, most people in this situation would immediately pull over, like, oh man, I got caught speeding, and then, you pay your ticket and you move on with your life. But that's not what Eric does. Instead, Eric's like, F the police, and he just keeps on driving. So this cop is like following him for a while, and finally Eric's like, alright, and he pulls over. So then the police officer pulls up and he orders Eric to get out of the vehicle. Then I guess Eric changes his mind and he's like, fuck the police again, and he drives away again. So now the officer's got to get back in his car and chase him, hoping he'll finally give up and pull over. About 8 miles later, Eric finally does pull over again. But he pulls over to the oncoming lane for some reason. So the officer pulls up behind him and he gets out of his car to approach Eric's Jeep. Then, allegedly, for some reason, we still don't know why, but Eric throws the Jeep in reverse and floors it and pow, hits the cop with his vehicle. And the officer flies like 20 to 40 feet before, boom, he lands on the ground. And Eric speeds away. And pretty quickly, the officer calls for backup. And now there are multiple cops chasing Eric, trying to catch him. And this chase goes on for 28 miles. And eventually, police throw down some of those spike strips, and Eric runs over them, and pow, his tires blow out. And just like that, the chase is over because his Jeep is fucked. And you can actually see a picture of it here with all the tires flat. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot.
A Bartlett police officer is out of the hospital after getting hit during that chase with a popular YouTuber accused of trying to kill him.
Oh, but the story gets even crazier. Because Eric gets charged with, among other things, attempted murder of a police officer, which is a huge deal. And the police officer survived, by the way. I think one of his legs ended up being injured, but other than that, he's alive. Anyway, 3 days later, Eric has an arraignment hearing. And at this hearing, he's talking to the judge, and he allegedly starts telling the judge all kinds of crazy shit. He tells him that he's a popular YouTuber, that he's a public figure. He encourages the judge to look him up and look at his online following because he has millions of followers. Like, I'm not sure that's going to help his case. He apparently also tells the judge that this is all one big misunderstanding, that he's Eric, but that the guy they're looking for is apparently a different guy named Eric. While he's a popular YouTuber, the other Eric isn't, I guess. And he lives in New York, while the real Eric they're looking for lives in another state. I don't know, like, his excuses are weird and confusing, so forgive me if I'm getting any of them wrong. But at one point, he holds up documents and claims that they've been falsified.
I have everything right here and it's all been falsified.
Then he starts insinuating that the police are all out to get him and that this is all part of some sort of police sting operation. Then he brings up his sobriety.
I've been sober from alcohol for 1,558 days, so to press me on a DUI, I'm a public figure.
Then his parents show up to the hearing and he starts to break down a little.
Mom, thank God, look at
me!
Eric, they're here to help you.
I mean, clearly, the whole thing is just a circus. Now, at this point, someone, I'm not sure if it was a judge or an attorney, they bring up his mental competency. Because nothing he's saying is making any sense, and his behavior's been erratic, and he's acting a bit odd. And for some reason, bringing up his mental competency sets him off.
If anyone dares try to test my mental competence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now. And that's not being egotistical.
I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence. Look at fucking Rick Sanchez over here. Now, why is Eric crashing out so hard? Like, why is he acting this way? Well, all we have right now are theories. And on the internet, among his fandom, this is the leading theory. A while back, on his Instagram, he was posting some things like this. So you can see in this picture, he's got a pill in his mouth and a prescription bottle in his hand with the caption, "Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry tried to gaslight me that I need medication too, when all you need is some discipline of your emotional state." So what is that bottle of meds in his hand? Well, the internet is saying that it's olanzapine. Now, I can't confirm that it's olanzapine, like I've zoomed in on the label, and you can compare it to an actual image of a bottle of olanzapine. Like, it looks similar to me, but I don't know. That's just what everyone on the internet is saying. Now, why that matters is olanzapine is an antipsychotic used to treat the symptoms of schizophrenia. And so the leading theory among his fandom is that he had been prescribed antipsychotics for symptoms of schizophrenia, and that he's recently decided that he's going to stop taking them and go all natural, because I guess he doesn't trust the big pharmaceutical companies. And that him quitting his meds caused him to fall off the wagon and act out in all kinds of ways, like running over a cop, for instance. But again, this is just a theory. Regardless, he hasn't been to trial yet, so all of these accusations are
alleged.
However, these are some very serious charges, so I think his days of being a YouTube star, they might be over.
I mean, it's sad, but at the bottom of this, I think it's just another case of mental illness and people not disclosing what they're going through. Obviously, one would think that there's no need to tell the public that you're going through stuff like this, and really there isn't, but then stuff like this comes out. Well, he tried to stop taking his medicine. He was due to act out. It's a serious case by nature because he just ran over a police officer, but he's right though. These days of being a YouTuber, those are over though. You can't come back from that.
Everybody knows that this is the late Queen of England, don't they? And this is the newly crowned King of England with his very best friend in the whole wide world. And this here is Prince Andrew with his very best friend in the whole wide world. Now, why would these two brothers have friends who everybody knows are very, very strange people? Well, I think I've kind of got an answer for that. You see, the Queen had a husband called Prince Philip, and Prince Philip had a brother called Lord Mountbatten. Now, Lord Mountbatten was really, really close to Prince Andrew, and was especially close to King Charles. As it states right here, Lord Mountbatten and Prince Andrew relationship. Lord Mountbatten had a close relationship with Prince Andrew. In the case of Charles, it says Lord Mountbatten, known as Uncle Dickie, was a close mentor and honorary grandfather to Prince Charles. So this guy was extremely close to the King and the Prince of England, which strikes me very, very peculiar when we read this. But going back to Prince Philip said that when he dies, he wants to be reincarnated as a deadly virus to solve overpopulation on Earth. Don't come for me, TikTok. This is for entertainment purposes only. Oh, and if you're not following me yet, what the flipping heck are you doing? Follow me and then come over to my page and tap this notification.
Did he actually say that? Brother, my man actually said this. Why would you say this? Look at his face. I would never trust a man with that face. I just know this guy's lying to me. Whatever he says, the minute you say stuff like this, you should be out of that. And it's true. Why do they all have to be friends. Like, it's all a big group of.
My name is Jeff. The United States is now arresting and even deporting students for one very controversial reason. Just today, surveillance footage showed 5 masked agents in plain clothes approach a student in the street. They tell her she's under arrest, cuff her, and then put her in an unmarked car. She is now being held in detention in Louisiana. And the thing is, Rumeysa is not the only one. At least 6 international students have been arrested or deported in recent weeks for their involvement in pro-Palestinian protests. One of them, Mahmoud Khalil, just straight up disappeared. Despite being a graduate student at Columbia University, a legal US permanent resident with a green card, and being married to an American woman who is 8 months pregnant after leading and organizing a pro-Palestinian protest on campus, he was quickly arrested and moved without notice from New Jersey to a detention center all the way in Louisiana. His pregnant wife and lawyer couldn't even find him. But this is where it gets interesting, because there's no public evidence that he committed a crime. And even a White House official said the allegations here is not that he was breaking the law. So why was he arrested? Well, the Trump administration say it's about national security. And under immigration law, the Secretary of State can revoke visas or deport non-citizens if their actions are believed to have serious adverse foreign policy consequences. The US government accused Khalil and those like him of being radical foreign pro-Hamas students engaging in illegal protests. So, on the one hand, the government does have the right to deny visas to non-citizens for security reasons. But on the other hand, critics argue that if this becomes a way to silence dissent, especially on controversial issues like on Gaza, then it's not just an immigration issue. It becomes a First Amendment one. But the question is, what do you guys think? Are these arrests justified, or is this a step too far?
This is horrifying. Won't you become protected under the Constitution, even if you hold the green card? Yeah, it's attacked on this First Amendment. It's free speech. Not a thing. What are we doing? No, this is nuts. 6 people just gone. What? The US is going bonkers, bro. I swear Donald Trump is doing too much. Way too much. I don't understand this lobbying stuff. How is this allowed? Because then it results in this type of stuff and these type of things. Because this is all because of Israel, though. You can't tell me anything else apart from it's because of the money that the US gets from Israel. Why would you guys do this? Just because he's claiming or he's pro-Palestine doesn't mean he's pro-Hamas.
I am not making this up. So a Jamaican comes to Britain and rapes a sleeping woman. Says afterwards he didn't realise that it was an offence, does 7 years in prison, then comes out, but can't be deported back to Jamaica because he says he's bisexual and he will face discrimination and maybe even violence back in Jamaica, and he's out on the streets. Do you know what? I couldn't care less what happens to him in Jamaica. Let's get rid of unwanted people like this. Isn't it about time we stood up and started looking after our own people?
I don't understand this narrative. Like, I get it. He's a bad person. I get it. Where are you going to send British people? Because he did his time, okay? Why didn't you deport him in the first? Because you were getting money. The Jamaican government keeping him there. Okay, I get it. Yeah. You're in your right to do that. Did you guys forget what you did there? But people in the comments, it's just one collective brain cell.
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
He already looks high. You're doing too much to that lady. Leave that lady alone, man.
You want me, but you don't know how to show me. This is what you're doing. Express that shit. If you want me, show it. God damn it, ho. I should have to tell you to do that. That's how I know it ain't real. Damn. You want me, but you don't know how to show me. This is what you're doing. Express that shit.
He's being real about that one. Girls will look at you for a microsecond and expect you to just know what they want you to do, or they want you to advance towards them. Just how? Speak your mind. breathing a little bit. To dip into this one though, it's fun. They're just having fun. If there was a dick there, they'll still be having fun. You're reading too much into this one. You need to relax, have a cup of tea.
If they laugh at you for being different, laugh at them for being the same.
Oh my god. Jesus.
If they laugh at you for being different, laugh at them for being the same.
Bro. I don't even know what happened there. How did he close that? That was smooth. I ain't gonna lie. That was smooth. That was smooth. Smoothini. Who is this, man? America is a simulation, man. Just a GTA server altogether.
Donald Trump has just signed an executive order that, if upheld, would overhaul how Americans vote for a new president. It's titled Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections, and it seeks to change two main things. The first being that Trump wants every state to require a person show their ID before voting. And the second being that he wants to ban states from accepting postal ballots received after Election Day. Now, here's where things get crazy, because any states that fail to comply with these proposed changes, according to this executive order, would completely lose their federal funding. Now, the order says that the US has failed to enforce basic and necessary election protections, and that this is supposed to go towards ending election fraud. However, those who oppose this bill say that it's unconstitutional, because one, it would be taking away the rights for each state to regulate their own elections, and two, some argue that a large number of Americans don't have easy access to proper identification to prove that they are eligible to vote. But what do you guys think? Should everyone need to show ID before voting or not?
I mean, yeah, you should show ID if you want to vote. I mean, that's a thing everywhere. So I don't know why you guys don't do it over there. I didn't even know that was a thing there. But jumping from that to taking away federal funding out of every state that doesn't comply with his rules is nuts. I mean, you can apply sanctions. Yeah, you're jumping the gun on this, and that's what I'm saying. Trump is just going overboard. And if it's that hard for people to get IDs over there in America, they should just come up with a program that will help those people get them easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I quit.
Wait, what?
I quit.
What? Wow. Sir, you cannot forfeit the match.
Yes, I can.
Security, please put him back.
Back up, bro. Back up.
I don't understand people that do this. It's so dangerous, bro. At least we can talk about MMA, all of that, but at least you're not actively trying to blow people's heads, and there's rules. At least you got submissions in MMA. There's an actual art to it. But this is just sheer violence. Stay away from this.
Forget P. Diddy. This guy makes him look innocent. He's finally been caught, and the story is insane.
You keep telling the child she's stunning and has lovely legs.
Well, she said to me, "Oh, I don't like my legs." She said her grandma her grandma wasn't gonna have a good Christmas. So I said, "Oh, you can come for me and have a Christmas dinner."
And what are you gonna do?
Well, I was gonna cook her a Christmas dinner. I'm gonna do anything.
Tell the child when they have sex, he will pull out so she don't get pregnant.
Oh, yes, I know I said
Oh,
that.
dear!
I'm bad. I'm sorry.
Rodney, the police are already on the way.
Oh.
Ask the child if you could shower together.
What were you going to do in the bath? What were you going to wash?
Well, I was just wash her back. I'm not going to...
He was just going to wash her back. Yo, he just said he was just going to wash her back.
You asked the child if you could kiss her neck softly, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Stop smiling, Rodney.
I'm not
He
smiling.
will massage her thighs with baby oil.
She said her legs was aching, didn't she?
Yeah, and I
Who was it? What happened to the last person that had baby oil?
I didn't have a last person.
The P. Diddy's in jail.
Can I just say that you look like you don't give a shit, Rodney?
I do give it. I do.
You've not once asked how this child is.
How is she?
Too late now. I've just told you to ask. So, guys, this is Rodney Schaefer from Skegness.
That's fine. Keep your hands out your pockets, please. That's it.
This side of the internet is just weird. What is this? What is this? Tell me, what is this? What are we on? Why are people actually talking about leaving him alone? Isn't he a pedophile? Or is he not? I mean, they called the police. He must be something. They gotta have some sort of proof. One would think so. But nowadays, you don't know. People just do random stuff for the internet, for the clout.
Want to. Wanna. Got to. Gotta. Going to. Gonna. Give me. Gimme. Let me. Lemmy. Am not, is not, are not, has not, have not. Ain't.
I always stick around for the class. I like to learn from this guy. Impeccable teacher, man.
Oh, the beef between the US and Canada has just got even crazier because Canadians are now boycotting American vacations. In addition to Canadian retailers taking American brands off of shelves like meat and liquor and then replacing them with local brands, Canadians are now also going one step further and actually cancelling their travel plans to the US. Recent statistics show that there's about a 13% reduction in entries to the US by air when you compare it to the same time last year, and also about a 23% fall in land border crossings as well. And this actually isn't really something to take lightly, because it turns out Canadians actually make up a huge chunk of international visitors in some areas. According to experts, even a 10% reduction in Canadian travel to the United States could mean $2 billion in lost spending and 14,000 job losses. The Trump administration, however, doesn't seem too bothered, because they responded by saying Canadians will no longer have to worry about the inconveniences of international travel when they become American citizens as residents of our cherished 51st state. So the question is this petty from Canadians or completely justified?
I don't know, this is weird to me. Isn't Trump just actively threatening Canada? They have their own independence, so what do you mean they're gonna be the 51st state? Canada is a sovereign state. You're just making threats at this point. Isn't that nuts that you can do that? I don't know, this guy is delusional. With that being said, guys, appreciate you being here. Y'all have a good day though.